Some people argue that the Excel spreadsheet has changed accounting more than anything, but we are in a world where things are changing so fast. Accountants are either going to be a force of nature driving the new world or going to become extinct. Nick Sinclair, any thoughts either way?
Excel's dead. AI is taking over everything, isn't it, apparently?
It probably is. We're talking here about the evolving roles of modern accountants. There's nobody better placed than Nick Sinclair of Tour. Nick, tell us real quick what your business is all about.
So we provide accounting firms with global talent. So wherever the best talent is in the world, we can help you source and select it and have them as full-time dedicated team members.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the evolving, changing role of accountants. As a seasoned accounting staffing professional, you've been in this game a long time. We did mention flippantly the Excel spreadsheet, but what else has changed, shaped the accounting world? Any particular events, any particular interventions, any particular software? What are the key disruptors, Nick?
Now, look, I've been in the industry for over 20 years, for 10 years as a firm owner, and then for the last 11 years serving accounting firms with talent. I think there's been a few changes or waves of innovation, if you want to call it that. So the first was obviously cloud accounting.
Yeah.
Back when that came in, it was never going to be a thing, and it was going to take away our jobs and take away all the roles. And no one's. I don't see accountants any quieter now or less busy. So I think that was really the first one. But that really opened up access to global talent. That talent no longer needed to sit in your office wherever your suburban office was. Now it's a digital world. We can work from anywhere at any time and have team members anywhere in the world. So I think the cloud accounting evolution really opened up the ability for remote work. I think that was a huge one. So that was sort of the thing that came after that. So I think that was almost the first wave, and it went on for a long time. Nothing really came too much, in my opinion, until the AI started to really come in a couple of years ago. And it's really in its infancy. It's in the early days, and I don't think we'll see any meaningful progression with that for another couple of years.
Yeah, I'll come back to you on the AI thing, but certainly with cloud, once you know that you don't have to be in an office with your servers, with all of your data, and you can do that anywhere, that is certainly a game changer. But a little bit like AI, we're seeing slow adoption of cloud, aren't we? Slow adoption of digital. I saw a stat from Xero that said only 30% of accountants automate a bank feed. So if they're not plugging into pretty basic automation and joining things up like that, what hope have we got that they are all migrating to the cloud and we're going to have all digital firms in the next few years?
Yeah, I think the challenge was, to be honest, is a lot of software vendors, the historic ones, the legacy ones, were slow to turn off their desktop. I mean, the largest software in America have only just turned off their desktop version now.
We've got to love legacy software, Nick, haven't we?
Yeah, so I think it's, when there's no need for accountants to change, and it's the way they've done it forever. And, the average age of a partner in an accounting firm's at the other end of the spectrum where they're coming up to retirement. Why make all these drastic changes? So I think we went through the early adopters, we went through the modern firms, the younger firms, and then I think now it's still, there's room to go. But I think if you're not doing it these days, you are the odd one out.
So we're talking about cloud, we're talking about the emergence of AI, the death of Excel, maybe not. We know some accountants are still working out of shoeboxes with paper receipts, but the majority of them, they're pushing forward, particularly the new generation coming through. Is there any more to add, Nick, on how these events have impacted the roles of accounting professionals? Anything we can learn from what they exactly do on a daily basis?
Well, if you look back to like when I had my firm, when Xero was the first cloud technique in the world. So when that came in for accounting, it was apparently going to wipe out a lot of the job. Bookkeepers weren't going to have one, accountants weren't going to have a job. If you actually look at what all the cloud technologies now in the accounting space have done, they have taken a significant amount of work off bookkeepers and off accountants. But the role of accountants and bookkeepers has evolved as the tech's got more complicated. The role has continued to evolve. So I've definitely seen a significant change in roles, particularly in the last really 3 to 4 years. We're seeing a lot more roles that are coming to us being in data analytics and data interpretation, as opposed to, 14 years ago, it was a lot of my team were just doing data entry. Like that's what our whole bookkeeping team was, data entry. Now 99% of people don't do any data entry because you've got amazing technology that does that for us.
It's interesting you talk about data analytics, Nick, and these new rules. Are we seeing a shift to staffing strategies that don't require qualified accountants, accredited CPAs and bookkeepers? They just might need expertise in a certain software or a certain area like analytics, analysis, tax law, or I don't know, legal side of things, HR. Accountants are expanding service lines and maybe they don't need accountants.
Yeah, look, if you look at some of the statistics, particularly in North America or US firms that are recruiting non-CPAs now, I think you are definitely seeing a big shift in the type of people that firms recruit.
Yeah.
We're also recruiting a lot more technology people as opposed to accountants, and that is integrating systems and a range of things there. So I think the types of roles we employ and the what we do will evolve. There will always be a need for those technical specialists that are accountants,
Sure.
but I think the span of roles that we have in a firm are not going to be the traditional roles that we've always had.
Well, we look at emerging trends, innovations, advanced technologies. I'm not sure who's driving this. It could be the vendors, the software solutions. It could be the accountants themselves asking for more sophisticated tech. It could be the clients demanding more of their accountants, but we do know that tech is pushing forward so fast. What emerging trends or innovations are you seeing that's going to have an impact? I'm sure you're going to mention AI here, but it's more than that, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I think the big thing that, technology is going to bring is that it gives our clients the ability to have advice at their fingertips whenever they need it 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have to, they won't be asking us the questions. They'll be asking a team member of ours who happens to be a virtual bot, who's a live person, not really a live person, but it's a bot, and it will have access to all of our literature, our content on our system and our ecosystem to be able to give the answer that we would give as a human being. And I think it's the access to information that will be a lot quicker for our clients, and they'll just be gaining that through our technology and our systems and the content that we have on those.
I'm thinking, Nick, you alluded earlier to the most accounting people are at or close to retirement age, 75% by some measures. So we're seeing the disappearance of the traditional accountant in terms of skills, responsibilities, maybe use of tech, and we're seeing this new breed come in, the younger generation. What, in your view, distinguishes the modern accountant from perhaps the older, more traditional ones?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because I've started coaching accounting firms,
right?
And the service we have called Top Firm, and it surprised me, both young and older accountants, how backwards we are in a lot of ways in running our firms. We're not running them like businesses; we're running them as technicians with a team. So I think that for me, a true modern firm, cloud technology is not being a modern firm. A modern firm is running it like a business that isn't reliant on a partner or a key person,
right. Yeah.
Where they have leadership teams, they have structures in place where it's not dependent or reliant on any one person. So a historic accounting firm is built around the partners of the firm. Everything revolves around them. Everything flows through them, all the workflow, all the reviews, all the client contacts. Nothing happens without a partner in a traditional firm. But in a modern firm, it's very much a business. It's how do we provide world-class service? How do we provide it as quick and as efficient as possible? How do we leverage technology to make it a better experience? And I think all of those things really put it into the modern bucket versus the traditional firm, which is the way that it's always been done.
Yeah. And as we're titling the show, The Evolving Role of Modern Accountants, you hinted at the partnership model there. Do you think it's fit for purpose, Nick? What side of the fence do you fall on business models and structures in firms and what's going to work?
If you want to be trapped within a business, the partnership model is the way to do it because it revolves around you.
Right.
If you want to run an accounting business that is an investable business, that is something that can run with or without you and will last with or without you there, then I don't think the partnership model works. I don't think that the remuneration structures in the partnership model work. I think it works for the partners. They make all the money, but the team don't. I think in a corporatized model, you're really structuring it so that all team members are maximizing their worth while enabling the business to be profitable and successful and sustainable.
Let's land on artificial intelligence, Nick. It's got to come into this conversation as we're talking about the evolving role of accountants. We can't discount AI. It's here. It's not going away. It's only going to get bigger. You're dealing more and more with it. Are there any common misconceptions about this artificial intelligence thing that accounting firms perhaps get wrong or don't see?
Yeah, I think the big thing is most people don't understand it. Obviously we're sold the big picture by a lot of the artificial intelligence. Like if you look at the YouTube videos and the training and the speakers that come and talk about AI, it's very pie in the sky.
Yeah.
When you break it down to its real essentials, and this was something that we learned within our business, we have now got virtual bots that are they're in our organization structure, they're team members, they're just virtual bots. But one of the biggest challenges we had is that when you're training them on your existing content. And if you think a lot of accounting firms, they don't have policies, they don't have process, they don't have their advice documented and standardized across the whole business. Every partner and person does it differently. So where AI really comes into play is you need that consistency, and it needs to be consistent because otherwise the bot's going to be giving different advice all the time. So I think that when we look at it in its most simple terms, we need to get a lot of our house in order and a lot of the basics done before we as firms can even do it. I think where it will run fast is obviously with the accounting technology providers that provide the tax and the accounting systems, because they're running AI and have been for years over their systems. The danger is they're almost going to cut us out of it. As accounting firm owners, if we don't evolve our own structures in simplicity, then everything's going to be in this software. And, we're already seeing some of those software vendors compete with accountants. And where is that going to go if we don't get it structured in the way that we need it in-house?
There's a phrase that's become fairly common now in the AI conversation, that accountants will not be replaced by AI, but they will be replaced by accountants that are good with AI. So it's definitely a new industry play. Are there any tech advantages that firms should be following, investing in to be, because I'm thinking not just of the evolving rules, but the evolving firm. And the evolving firm that invests in the right technology in the right way is going to attract the evolving accountant, surely.
Yeah, look, I think if you're using any of the main workflow systems, if you're using any of the main tax systems and cloud ecosystem, you're going to get the AI there. I think where firms can really double down is in the documentation around the advice they give and the standardized responses they give to clients, which is really internal knowledge-based articles. If you're doubling down on that, that is your secret sauce, and that is where you can bring AI in, which will completely differentiate you to a standard firm, because it gives your firm the ability to answer questions 24 hours a day. If you're relying on these other tech companies, the major workflow softwares, the tax softwares to bring AI in, it's what makes you any different to every other accounting firm.
When we talk about accounting talent, and this is the Accounting Talent Podcast, Nick, we've got to talk about the way firms resource themselves. And that's evolving, isn't it? Talk to us a little bit about some of the trends there you're seeing.
Yeah, 100% ago. When I started TOA 11 years ago, outsourcing and offshoring was taboo. It wasn't common. These days, if you don't have global teams, you're behind the times.
Yeah.
There is so much access to great talent globally, and cloud accounting, the pandemic, all of those things just advance that. The good thing is there is plenty of great talent out there. Although we've seen a number of people going into accounting, in the Western world, we're seeing numbers drop. We're seeing across Asia, particularly, strong numbers. We're still getting 3,000-4,000 resumes or applications every single month for, a couple of hundred roles. So there is good talent out there. I think the key differentiator now is people have choice, particularly when you're recruiting locally. If you're paying poorly, if you're not showing career progression and helping these accountants to fast track their careers, they're going to choose a firm that will. So I think that we need to be, we talk about a lot, but a lot of firms don't do it, is to be a lot more people centric. We need to be so focused on speed of competency and excelling careers and paying them what they deserve. The partners can't make all the money. The business needs to make sufficient profits, sufficient revenue to then be able to pay the best talent to have the best talent. It's like in a sporting team. The best sporting teams pay for the best talent. They don't pay the least amount. But we've still got this old school mentality of, they need to come in and do junior crappy work and they need to get paid really badly and earn their stripes like I did. Well, those days are gone.
Yeah.
I think that, there is plenty of great talent, but it's about having the right talent, and it's about how do we focus on accelerating and growing their careers and making them the best version of themselves that we can.
Great. And I've been talking on this show last few episodes about how everyone in an accounting firm has a talent acquisition role, insofar as we should all be looking at our networks and who we know and being ambassadors for the firm and drawing talent in and showing that we're a great place to work. I'm just thinking of, amidst that, we've got to address culture and the way we set our firms up. So when you look at innovative work setups, models that you see emerging that need to embrace remote, hybrid, offshore talent, what do you see as really working, Nick?
Yeah, look, I think it's firms that have an actual purpose and a vision. So it's if your team members' goals and dreams and aspirations are bigger than the firm partners and owners.
Yeah, something people can buy into, right? A story they can be a part of.
Yeah, you've got to, we make a real difference as accountants, and you've got to have a strong purpose to attract the talent. And then I think the second one is around having an employee value proposition that is flexible and maintainable. So we're seeing the older age people are more happy to be flexible and in office to, the younger generations are more wanting remote. They're more wanting 4-day work weeks. It's about having a blend of what will work to serve, because ultimately we've got to serve our clients. That's why as accounting firms, we're in business. So we can't have our staffing solutions dictating what we do. We need to serve the clients and we need to set up our firms, but we need to have a very clear employee value proposition around what we do for our team members that makes us stand out. And the other thing is, and you mentioned this just a little bit before, we need to be better at doing capacity planning so that we know what talent we need in 2, 3, 4 years, and developing and attracting that talent now for later, getting out and building those talent pools of people that, they may be a senior or an intermediate now, and they may want to join your firm in 1 or 2 or 3 years' time. So it's building those relationships, building those talent pools. So when it's right for you and them, you're the first person they come to.
Yeah. And the employee value proposition, I saw on a firm's website recently that they provided free fruit in the office. And I thought, if they think that's going to move the dial on getting talent in, they've not really got the hang of an employee value proposition. So,
no. Yeah, I think that's the challenge, is, to be honest, most 95% of accounting firms probably don't even have one. Like when you look at their websites are all about client attraction. There's no area on there around employee attraction. If it is, it's, it's boring. It's like, why would I want to work for you? Like free apples, yay. I might not even like apples.
Yeah.
So what is it that we're really doing to accelerate and grow our talent, and what is important to them? And, what is important to one person is very different to others. So it's having a very rounded approach to attracting the best talent. Ultimately, if you look at it always, pay and benefits are always up the top, job flexibility, top 3. If you nail those and you have some structure around how you do it. The other thing is, if you're 100% in office, that's perfectly okay. Just make sure you're attracting people that love working in an office. I'm one of those people. But then we've got a bunch of team members that hate working in the office, and they're 100% remote. So whatever you want to be very clear, and you will be able to attract whatever it is that you want to be, but be able to explain why that is so important, whatever that is, whether it be, 100% remote, whether it be in office, whether it be you pay education allowances or whatever it is. Just be very clear around why you provide it, because you will get asked.
Yeah. There's a huge return to office mandate all over the world in the big corporates. We've seen the big Amazon push just recently. And one of the concerns of accounting leaders is that with geographically dispersed teams, how do we trust people? Where's that command and control? How do we drive alignment and efficiency? How do we imbue culture? What's your best advice there?
Learn to lead. So I think, all of those examples you just said is someone that is a manager.
Yeah.
A leader's role is to build training systems and processes and to train their team members to be world-class at them. A manager's one is to look over the shoulder, manage the workflow, make sure they're doing their job. If you recruit right, if you have the right systems and process, and you have the right leadership meeting rhythms and structures, it doesn't matter where they sit. You can have a high-performing team, but I think the challenge is that a lot of the processes and ways that we've led people have been office-based. It's all we know. We haven't adjusted to learn the skills of managing a remote team. I mean, my team in our talent solutions business are in 5 different countries. Even though they're in our offices in those countries in some cases, a lot of them are flexible work arrangements and hybrid and remote, and a good chunk of them are in office full time. I'm not there, so I can't see them. How's that any different to, where they work? We need to learn how to lead people, not how to manage people. And I think, unfortunately, we've had such a lack of leadership skills and training in the past in the industry that we're used to micromanaging and overseeing everything, as opposed to really truly leading people, because we don't have the right tools, systems, process, and training to be able to enable proper leadership.
Yeah. We've titled this episode The Evolving Role of Accountants, and we've widened it to the evolving model of accounting firms and the way they resource. At TOA Global, you're at the forefront of being really a strategic partner for firms to allow them to evolve with the right people, the right processes. Just to elaborate a little bit more on what you do for firms, Nick.
Yeah, so we help accounting firms to basically recruit global talent, predominantly through the Philippines. We do service other countries, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be an accountant, doesn't have to be a bookkeeper. It's whatever roles you have within your accounting firm. We can help resource that in a global environment, but it's not all of your team. It's about making sure you've got the right mix of local team members, global team members, and having that balance, because as you grow your global team, you need to maintain growing your local team so that in 5, 7, 10 years, you've got enough in each of these different regions.
Yeah. And just to finish, Nick, what's going to happen to the firms that don't evolve? The ones that say, we're doing fine, our firm's got a good brand, talent seems to be coming in, our people seem to be leading well, perhaps a little bit of complacency. What's the future for them?
Yeah, I think they'll just continue to die a slow death. I mean, if you look at the growth rate of accounting firms, it's nothing great. Like less than 10% is pretty sad. Given we're in a market that is really recession-proof, accounting is recession-proof, high demand for our services, real lack of talent, but yet we can't grow more than 10%, it's pretty sad. So I think those firms will grow 5 or 10%, and if that's good for them, then great. But what you're going to do is you're going to have a lot of firms, and I've seen a lot of firms go from nothing to 100 plus people in 5, 7 years, that are just going to come in and they're going to take their market share. So they'll die a slow death, while the modern firms are just going to run fast and past them.
Crazy times. Nick Sinclair of TOA Global, great to have you joining us today. Thanks so much for your time and your insights.
Thanks for having me.